Orgasmic enlightenment, where the sexual and spiritual come together. I'm Kim Anami, and I'm a holistic sex and relationship coach and a vaginal weightlifter. In this show, we explore all things intimate. I believe that our sexual energy is life force, creative energy, and we can use it to shape our worlds, strengthen our relationships, and self-actualize. I blend the most avant-garde information from neuroscience, ancient sexual practices like Tantra and Taoism, to renegade wellness modalities to show you how to create gourmet sex in your lives. Come one, come all. Bring back manly men. A few weeks ago, I put up an Instagram post comparing the male models of the 90s to male models in 2025. The 90s men included guys like David Gandy and Jason Lewis, who was Samantha's Smith love interest on Sex and the City. Yes, he used to be a catwalk model and a very fucking saucy, hot one. These legendary men with imposing jawlines and ravishing bone structure, tall, muscular builds, and sex appeal to fuck. Gods of a bygone era. Then I juxtaposed them with the mincing, fairy-like, pre-pubescent boy-child birth defects of 2025. Putting them side by side made the differences so much more dramatic. People are asking, what happened? Where did all the men go? Where did all the testosterone disappear to? What I found heartening about the 4,000 plus comments is that 99.999% of them were pro the 90s men. Because this post was promoted all over Instagram, it was shared on the Explore page, it wasn't just my audience who, let's face it, are smarter and less woke than the average bear. It went far beyond that. In every social strata, generation, in countries and languages all over the world, with likes and comments ranging from celebrities to members of parliament in places as far-flung as Sweden and Indonesia, this post went ultra-viral, with people chiming in, mostly disgusted for the current crop of non-men and lamenting a return of these ultra-masculine men of the past. There was a sexual repulsion for these non-fuckable asexuals and panty-wetting yearning for the fuckable masculine men. So that was refreshing. And then last week, some Gen Z NPC made a post saying that Timothee Chalamet, the twink actor, was hotter and more attractive to women than Henry Cavill. If you don't follow celebrity culture that much, Cavill is a rugged, classically handsome guy. I'm pretty sure that he played Superman. I mean, how many iterations of this have there been? But whatever, at some point. And Chalamet is the leader of the modern day Rat Pack, which we'll get to in a moment. I wouldn't even call him boyishly handsome. I would call him some attempt at normalizing birth defects. Following this assertion that Chalamet is more attractive to women, there's been some conversation around the idea that women on hormonal birth control choose more effeminate looking and acting partners. And this is from a study showing that women on hormonal birth control do indeed choose different partners than those off of it. And that might be the case, but the women of my generation were also on birth control, probably in greater numbers than women today. And the attractive males of my day were the likes of Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Keanu Reeves, Rob Lowe, chiseled faces. And the generation before that, also on hormonal birth control, the men were even more rugged. You've got guys like Clint Eastwood, Richard Gere, Burt Reynolds, Robert Redford, Harrison Ford, Paul Newman. So it's not just about women being on birth control. I mean, look, I've been anti-hormonal birth control for nearly 40 years. This doesn't answer the question of why there's this push to glorify what I would call the runt of the litter. Which brings us to Timothee Chalamet. So he's the would-be leader of this modern day rat pack. And even this title has a certain irony to it. The original rat pack term was used to describe a group of legendary actors in the 1950s and 60s, including Humphrey Bogart as the OG rat packer. The phrase was allegedly first coined by Lauren Bacall, his love interest at the time. The group evolved to include Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr., who were also in the first Ocean's 11 movie. They were known for being iconic, suave, wild, charismatic, and ultra cool. But this new rat pack means it's referring to a group of male actors, get this, with facial features like rats. Rodents. They're called the rodents. Barry Keoghan, Josh O'Connor, Mike Faced. Google rat-faced or rodent-faced actors, and it is shocking when you see them all stacked together. You can't unsee it. You wish you could. You wish you'd never laid eyes on it, but you did. It's one of those, I saw it, and now you have to. So instead of the alpha, top dog, most dominant of the hierarchy, what's being promoted as attractive now is the runt of the litter. All of these rat-faced, unfuckable, ultra-fey, asexual boy children. The discards, the expressions of the species you would actually never breed with because it would perpetuate a weak genetic lineage. So yes, some of these women may be choosing inferior men because they are hormonally blinded and medicated, but these are the men being curated by industry and media and held up as the so-called desirable men of the moment. I would look at this as a deliberate attempt to normalize low testosterone, highly estrogenic men. Men who probably can't even reproduce if they wanted to. So because I've been talking about Timothée Chalamet, YouTube fed me a trailer for the latest Dune movie, which I guess he's in, so I watched it. And I've never seen any of the Dunes, but I know that they're meant to be fantasy, sci-fi. And in the trailer, his love interest, played by Zendaya, has a baby, and he is apparently the father. And I thought, yes, indeed, this is a sci-fi fantasy that Timothée Chalamet is somehow capable of reproducing. Not going to happen. So this is all deliberate programming by highlighting and normalizing these highly xenoestrogen males of this current generation of pseudo-men. And if that trend continues, we will forget that we ever had masculine men in the species. They will seem like an anomaly. And as they are now, they'll be labeled toxic. I and others have said that the only toxic masculinity is the lack of it. Weak men who could never defend you or the realm, toxic. Men who can't stand up and speak their truth, toxic. Men who don't have a purpose or a plan, toxic. Men who use violence against the people they love, toxic and beta. This is not alpha behavior. Men who can't lead and take action, toxic. This isn't masculinity, it's the absence of it. So you've got this trend in the media promoting boy childs instead of chads. If you've heard this term, chad, it's defined by the Urban Dictionary as a slang term used to describe an attractive, confident, and sexually successful man, often portrayed as the epitome of the alpha male. The stereotype typically includes being athletic, good-looking, popular with women, and having a laid-back, charismatic personality. And I've seen it go much farther than that in terms of, I think, these other qualities of really standing firm and being a warrior. And there's another section in the Urban Dictionary. It says core meaning. A highly desirable masculine man with good genes, often depicted as 6 feet tall, earning 6 figures, and possessing a large penis, commonly referred to as the 666 Chad meme. This is hilarious. So right now there is a TV series telling the story of the romantic relationship between JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette. It's called Love Story. Apparently, the producers and one of the main, the director, the producer, is this gay guy, Ryan Murphy, I think his name is. They had a lot of trouble finding a male actor with enough masculine energy to play the part of JFK Jr., to the point that they were about to shut down production because they couldn't find anyone. The executive producer, Brad Simpson, says, "We were 3 weeks away from shooting and we still hadn't cast him. We had seen every male actor between the age of 25 and 38. Part of it was just that sort of 80s old school masculinity. Yeah, fuck yes. A man with hair on his chest. Okay, great. Sort of Richard Gere, Tom Selleck, the classic chiseled looks. We're not making those guys anymore for some reason, and he really needed to have that." So this series has been super popular. Some might say because it features a man. So this idea of trying to normalize birth defects, autism, low testosterone, high estrogen men, the runt of the litter. I've spoken about this at length before. The role of the male, of this masculine man, is to act as the protector of the realm, his family, and his woman. He is the first line of defense against injustice, bad behavior, and disrespect. He creates the container that his children feel safe within and his community feels protected in. And that encasing creates the ideal environment for the feminine to open up into. I always say the man's mantra to the woman is, if you fall, I will catch you. If you open your heart, your pussy, and you live in a surrendered space, I will hold all of that. A woman's trust and openness feed him, and in turn, he protects and honors that openness in the woman, creating a space for her to let down her guard and live in more softness, less protection, because that is his role. But these newfangled not men don't exude any of that energy. They're the opposite of it. They are featherweights. The kinds of guys you see these videos about where a couple gets mugged and the guy runs away. So what is happening? How did we get here? Xenoestrogens would be one thing. We can definitely look to physical and environmental factors like all the xenoestrogen exposure in food, household products. I've talked about this before, and so have people like the legendary whistleblower scientist Tyrone Hayes, and of course, Alex, not so wrong now, is he, Jones, talking about gay frogs, how the pesticide atrazine in the food supply, when observed at levels less than what's acceptable for humans, made frogs gay. They developed the genitalia of the opposite sex, and then they were actually able to reproduce with their new genitalia. And we wonder what's happening with the humans. People are being quietly frog boiled or gay frog boiled into self-sterilizing eunuchs, making way for a new wave of test tube artificially engineered subhumans. As of now, 1 in 6 couples are infertile. So things are already well on the way and will continue in that direction if people don't seize responsibility for their health, their well-being, and their reproductive intelligence. And then we have this overall programming against the alpha and the masculine man. Enough of us are still alive and remember these hot, sexy, masculine men. They still walk and strut among us. And thankfully, there appears to be a resurgence of them, partly because there's been a right-wing pendulum swing in America that's enabled all the people who were terrified into silence over the past, 5 or 6 years, to begin now speaking up. They've got safety in numbers. Some of us were never silent, but that's another story. Even the gay men are starting to look more like men. If any of you have seen the show Heated Rivalry, it's a story about a couple of gay hockey players. If you had asked me how likely I would be to watch something featuring two gay guys playing hockey, this would have never made it onto my list. But there was this huge amount of hype around it, and apparently women were getting very excited about it, which I found interesting, and so I checked it out. And I have to say, it was amazing. Really fucking beautiful. And I think part of why I enjoyed it so much is that these gay characters are fucking hot and masculine. They weren't an iota of the cliched caricature of women. Oh my God, there's a spider. Oh my God, I think I broke a nail. I've never really understood why, if the rationale for being gay is that you aren't attracted to women but to men, then why take on all the most awful and ridiculous cliched characteristics of women? Weak women who are obsessed with vanity and can't fend for themselves. I can't stand women like that, never mind men. But the guys in the show are not like that at all. They are just two smoldering, gorgeous men who are wildly, passionately in love with each other. That's it. We get to skip all of the super fey, gay, we act like tacky women, but we're into men, confusion, and just enjoy a love story. But I digress, sort of. The point here is that there is a swing back to hot fucking masculine men. Enough people, a tipping point of the population, has seen what's going on. This deliberate engineering of infertile, unfuckable teen boys being paraded as pseudo-men, and nobody wants it. Fucking nobody. Maybe a few Gen Zs whacked out on hormones and antidepressants and birth control and propaganda, and quite possibly, quote, influencers paid to spout a certain agenda, like Timothee Chalamet is hot. Or maybe they're getting paid to be his girlfriend. So, as a man, what can you do to amp up your manliness? Number 1, reduce your estrogen exposure. No processed or junk food. Eat high quality, organic, wild, and grass-fed meats. Beef, venison, bison, sardines, salmon. I've been on a major carnivore kick lately. I don't eat any more fruit or vegetables and very, very minimal carbs. Just loads of steak and eggs and salmon and sardines. Some raw cheese. I fucking love it. Hormone maxing, right? High quality protein, high quality fat. Hormone building blocks. Clean up your environment. So using natural body and household products. Perfume is the new smoking. Eat clean, detox your body, exercise, and sweat a lot, and you will not smell bad. You will smell amazing. Your own pheromones will be your new perfume. And chemical air fresheners are also the new smoking. I cannot tell you the amount of Ubers I have gotten out of and called a new ride because I refuse to be fumigated in a car. Next up, fuck more and fuck better. There is a way of having sex and self-pleasuring that is going to deplete your dopamine and testosterone, or one that is going to build it. If you are having a typical pump, dump, and schlump session where you bust one out as fast as you can and you pass out, you are losing energy. Evidenced by the fact that you pass out, right? You create this massive dopamine buildup and then you dump it all out of you. Again, this is pretty obvious when you fall and you can't get up. Help, I've fallen and I can't get up. This is why all of the porn consumers and chronic masturbators end up with erectile dysfunction. They are constantly depleting their dopamine stores. Dopamine builds testosterone. Testosterone builds your erections. You can hack this by using tantric stamina building techniques and ultimately learn how to orgasm without ejaculation. Both are practices I teach in my Coming Together for Couples Salon and my Sexual Mastery for Men course. This is essential knowledge for all men. You can learn to harness this energy, recirculate it inside yourself so that you feel rejuvenated after sex instead of depleted. You might mistake this feeling for relaxation and release, but ultimately it's exhausting you on a deep level. You can have the best of all worlds by learning to cultivate your sexual energy, last longer, pleasure your woman much more, and bring her to the deeper vaginal orgasms, thereby creating a well-fucked woman, and have much more powerful, wilder orgasms yourself, all the while that you are energizing your whole body, your being, and then learning how to channel your sexual energy into creativity in your life. Being the master of your own sexual life force is one of the most high-level hacks that you can generate in yourself. Plus, when you're with your woman sexually, the benchmark is being able to go a full hour minimum in total control. If you are one of the almost 99%, as in the 95% of men who ejaculate within 5 minutes of intercourse, you need to earn your alpha status. 2-pump chumps are beta. Alpha men are marathon men. They don't stop until they slay you, your vagina, and all of your demons. That is an honest day's work for a man. The other thing that you can do is to move your body. You build dopamine and your masculine edge of fortitude by constantly challenging yourself. Weight training is one of the best ways to generate dopamine and to keep upping your own limits and expanding them. And you build some tasty biceps and confidence along the way. The bottom line is women don't want to fuck effeminate men. Look, they might date you and even marry you if they fall under the spell or kamikaze suicide human species ending mission of selecting safe men who they could never actually love or fuck in the spirit of being with someone, but not actually being into them. That might happen. But no woman is getting hot and bothered and being fuck changed and having vaginal orgasms for some wafy, wispy femboy who cannot hold his own. For some inspiration and reinforcement on this, go and check out the post of mine that I'm talking about on my Instagram account. I will link it in the show notes. And for more on how to build your masculine smolder, and for your woman to cultivate her own feminine surrender and energy, check out my Coming Together Salon for Couples, which opens in early April. We deep dive into all things masculine and feminine energies to create the hottest sexual polarity and chemistry. In the meantime, you can sign up for my free Coming Together 7-day sex cleanse. Each day, you receive an email with assignments to deepen into each other sexually and emotionally. Side effects of this sex cleanse may include ejaculate-soaked bed sheets, broken bed frames, being fully energized by each other's life force energy, clearing of relationship blocks, stronger stamina, feelings of safety and security, skyrocketing libidos. Sign up today at kimanami.com/lovers. Thank you so much for listening. Subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and send somebody else the gift of a multi-orgasmic and transformational love life by sharing this episode with them. If you'd like to go deeper into all things orgasms, sign up for my free Orgasmopedia series, where you'll learn about 9 different types of orgasms everyone can have. Go to kimanami.com and you'll see the sign up there. Come one, come all.